take a moment and look around your home. Now, imagine if those walls were made of thousand-year-old volcanic ash. Or if your front door opened to a vertical drop into the clouds. Across the globe, there are people who exist in total defiance of geography. These are the impossible villages, places where the concept of a foundation is replaced by shifting tides, frozen permafrost, or ancient defensive towers. We are about to explore the lives of those who have mastered the art of living on the edge, literally. It's a raw, beautiful look at how humanity thrives when pushed to the absolute limit of nature. If you're a curious soul looking for the world's most hidden wonders, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and come along with us on this cinematic journey into the unknown. The adventure starts right now. Los Uros, floating foundations. In the vast mirror of Lake Titicaca, Peru, the ground beneath your feet breathes. Here, the Uros people live upon islands they weave themselves from the roots and stalks of the totora reed. There are no concrete foundations here, only layers of golden vegetation floating at an altitude of 3,800 meters. Because the bottom layers slowly rot in the cold water, the inhabitants must pile fresh reeds on top every few months. A single island breathes for about 20 years before returning to the lake. Their homes, their boats, and their very existence are crafted from this single plant. It is a fragile dance between man and water, a giant raft that serves as both a motherland and a sanctuary. Walking on a floating island is feeling the very heartbeat of the water. Bajau, the sea nomads. Imagine a world where the horizon is your only fence. Along the coasts of Malaysia and the Philippines, the Bajau people do not walk on solid ground, but atop the infinite blue. Their homes are wooden nests perched on stilts, driven into the seabed, linked by bridges as thin as thread. For centuries, their home was a boat. Today, it is a floating village, breathing with the tides. Here, children learn to paddle before they can read, and divers plunge down more than 20 meters, the height of a 6-story building, on a single breath. It is a life of glass, beautiful yet brittle, where survival depends on a fish and the ocean's mercy. Though storms may threaten, they remain, defying the laws of gravity and roots. It is amazing how humans make the ocean their own private garden. Phugtal Monastery, the Stone Nest. In northern India, there is a place that seems to grow directly from the heart of a mountain. The Phugtal Monastery is a Buddhist jewel clinging to a cliffside built around a natural cave. It is over 1,000 years old, standing firm in almost total isolation. Here, dozens of monks live in stone cells that resemble honeycombs stuck to a vertical wall. The earth is so dry that nothing grows. Every grain of rice must be carried over dangerous trails. It is a monument to faith and ancient engineering, where peace is found on the edge of the abyss, and the only sound is the whistling wind. Sometimes, to touch the sky, you must live clinging to a stone. Kandovan, the echo of lava. In Iran, time has frozen into stone. Kandovan is no ordinary village. It is a labyrinth of volcanic cones that look like giant anthills carved by titans. Thousands of years ago, ash and lava hardened, and the ancestors of the current residents dug inward to create multi-level homes. These porous rock walls keep the heat in during winter and stay cool in summer, protecting families for generations. Some cones stand over 10 meters tall, 5 times the height of a grown man. It is a place where walls are not built, but discovered by carving away the mountain. But the wind and rain are patient, slowly melting what volcanic fire once forged. Living inside a sleeping volcano feels like a fairy tale of true resilience. Sagsai, the kingdom of eagles. Across the endless steppes of Western Mongolia, the horizon never ends. This is the home of the Sagsai nomads, people who live in yurts, round tents that move whenever the grass runs thin. But their most incredible bond is with the golden eagles. These birds, with wings nearly 2 meters wide, are trained to hunt in the deep snow. It is an alliance of years between human and sky hunter. In a landscape where rock mountains are natural walls and the cold bites the skin, survival depends on mobility and the strength of a bird. It is a dance of respect in the middle of nowhere, where animal and man become one. Holding an eagle on your arm is feeling the power of the wind. Wae Rebo, the circle of clouds. Hidden in the mountains of Indonesia at 1,100 meters high lies Wae Rebo. No roads lead here, only a steep path requiring a 4-hour hike through dense jungle. The village is a perfect circle of 7 conical houses called Mbaruniang, surrounding a sacred courtyard. Each house has 5 levels, one for living, others for food, and the last for rituals. It is a community that chose to stay in the past to protect its future. Isolation is their shield against the noise of the modern world. Here, the mist is often the only neighbor, and life is measured by the coffee harvest and kitchen smoke. Solitude at the top of the world smells like old, rich coffee. Makoko, the wooden Venice. In Nigeria, there is a city that should not exist. Makoko is a wooden labyrinth built over the shallow waters of a lagoon in Lagos. There are no streets, only canals where thousands of canoes pass carrying children to school or goods to market. It is estimated that up to 300,000 people live here, all supported by wooden poles driven into the mud. It is a dense, noisy place full of life, where the smell of smoked fish fills the air. Although the government sometimes tries to clear it away, Makoko resists. It is proof that when land is missing, humans learn to walk on water with a smile. Baduy villages, the silence of the forest. In the heart of Java, the Baduy live as if time stopped centuries ago. Their villages are clusters of bamboo and wood houses on stilts, hidden in hills 600 meters high. They use no electricity, no cars, and no modern technology. Everything they need comes from the forest, the thatch roof, the woven walls, and the dirt paths they walk for kilometers. It is a sincere and direct life, where the rule is not to change what nature already made perfect. Walking through their trails, the only sound is your own footsteps and the whisper of trees, reminding you that true wealth needs no wires or screens. Less is more when the forest provides everything you truly need. Asaro, the mudmen. In the highlands of Papua New Guinea, at 1,500 meters high, the village of Asaro keeps a striking visual secret. Its men appear in rituals covered in gray mud and wearing giant clay masks with round eyes and strange ears. These masks can weigh more than 2 kilograms once they dry. They say their ancestors used them to terrify enemies, appearing as spirits rising from the earth. Today, the village remains connected to its ancient traditions, surrounded by hills and farms that demand constant physical effort. It is a place where art becomes armor, and the mud tells the story of a people who were never defeated. Lolo Chai, the clay refuge. Almost on the border with China, in northern Vietnam, the village of Lolo Chai feels like a fortress of peace. Its houses have rammed earth walls 60 centimeters thick, designed to trap heat and resist the limestone soil. Everything here is rock and mud. Patios are surrounded by low stone walls that mark the rhythm of daily life, drying corn, fixing tools, and watching clouds pass. Many of these homes are over 100 years old, housing families who refuse to leave their customs behind. It is a landscape of gray and green, where simplicity is the rule, and resilience is a heritage passed from father to son. Mud and stone keep stories that concrete could never tell at all. Ushguli, the Towers of the Caucasus. At more than 2,100 meters high in Georgia lies Ushguli, one of the highest permanent settlements in Europe. What defines this place are its more than 30 stone defense towers built between the 9th and 12th centuries. These towers, rising over 20 meters like stone trees, protected families during clan wars. In winter, the snow is so deep that the village is totally cut off from the world for months. Its inhabitants survive thanks to livestock and an admirable stubbornness. It is an intact medieval landscape where every stone seems to remember the battle cry of those who defended their home against time. Living among stone towers reminds us that defense begins at home, always. Intha villages, the floating gardens. In Myanmar, Lake Inle is not just water, it is a giant farm. The Intha people built their villages on wooden stilts, but the strangest part is their crops. They create artificial islands with plants and lake mud, staking them to the bottom with bamboo poles. These are gardens that float at nearly 1,000 meters high. The fishermen have a unique technique, rowing with one leg to keep their hands free for the nets. The water stretches for 16 kilometers, being the only road to the market or school. It is a suspended life where the reflection of the sky in the water is the only firm ground they know. rowing with one leg is an art born from the need to survive. Atulie'er, the sky ladder. Can you imagine climbing 800 meters up bamboo ladders just to get home? That was daily life in Atulie'er, a cliff village in southwest China. Its mud and wood houses literally hang off the edge of a precipice. Before 2016, children had to climb near vertical walls to go to school. Today, there are more than 2,500 steel stairs that make access easier, but life remains extreme. Crops cling to small patches of earth in the rock, and every bag of cement must be carried up by hand over thousands of steps. It is the ultimate example of human determination to turn a rock wall into a home. Each step is a proof of love for the land we keep. Tana Toraja, the village of the dead. On the island of Sulawesi, Indonesia, life and death share the same roof. In Tana Toraja, houses have massive roofs that look like ships pointing to the sky. But the most enigmatic part is the nearby cliffs, filled with hanging coffins and wooden statues watching the valley. For them, death is not an immediate goodbye. Bodies can stay at home for months or years until the family organizes a massive funeral. It is a region of rugged mountains and ancient rituals, where survival is a daily challenge between mist and rock. Here, caring for the dead is the purest way to honor the life of the living. Respect for those who left defines how we live each day now. Taos Pueblo, 1,000 years of mud. In New Mexico, United States, there is an apartment building that is over 10 centuries old. Taos Pueblo is a native community where adobe houses, made of earth, straw, and water, have been continuously inhabited for 1,000 years. About 150 residents live there without electricity or running water, repairing the thick walls every year with new layers of mud. Originally, there were no doors on the ground floor. One entered through the roof using wooden ladders to defend against attacks. It is an organic structure that seems born from the desert, a testament that the earth, if cared for by hand, can last forever. "1,000 years in a mud house" is true ancient human wisdom. Oymyakon, the frozen breath. In northeastern Russia, the ground is pure eternal ice. Oymyakon is the coldest village in the world where people live all year round. With barely 500 inhabitants, life here is a battle against 70 degrees Celsius below zero. Cars must stay running for hours so the engine does not break, and phone batteries die in minutes. Because the earth is frozen hundreds of meters deep, nothing can be grown. People live on reindeer meat and frozen fish. Houses are built on stilts so that the home's heat does not melt the ground and sink the structure. It is life pushed to the absolute limit of the cold. Where breath turns to crystal, only warm hearts can truly survive here. Sapa, the rice stairs. The mountains of Vietnam seem carved by a giant artist. In Sapa, the villages are not in the valley, but on the steepest slopes. For hundreds of years, people have built earth walls by hand to create rice terraces that look like green stairs. These terraces do not just provide food, they prevent the mountain from crumbling in the rain. At 1,500 meters high, life is a constant exercise of physical strength. Carrying bags of soil and stones to maintain the walls is the work of every generation. It is an architecture of effort, where every grain of rice tells the story of a man who tamed the mountain. Taming a mountain with your hands is the work of a lifetime. Kampong Phluk, the village of seasons. In Cambodia, the village of Kampong Phluk is a chameleon. During the dry season, The houses look like giants on stilts, with very long ladders going down to the mud floor. But when the rain comes, the water rises 6 meters and boats sail right under the living room floors. The houses are at the height of a second floor to avoid flooding. Here, the ground is not something certain, but something temporary. The community lives from fishing and moves to the rhythm of the water, accepting that nature rules and they only adapt. It is a flexible life where the landscape completely changes every 6 months. Accepting the rhythm of water is learning to flow with life itself. Tai O, the refuge of mud and salt. In the shadow of Hong Kong's skyscrapers, Tai O refuses to change. It is a fishing village where wooden houses rest on stilts in the coastal mud. With more than 300 years of history, it is older than any modern building in the city. Here, the streets are wooden bridges, and the air always smells of dried fish and the sea. Despite great fires and storms, families rebuild their homes again, driving poles into the mud. While the world races toward the future, Tai O stands still over the water, reminding us that the strongest roots sometimes sink into the mud. Progress does not always mean forgetting the smell of salt and wood. Mentawai Islands, the jungle tattoo. Deep in the jungle of Indonesia, Mentawai villages are shelters of wood and spirit. Their communal houses, called uma, can measure more than 24 meters long, like a small airplane, and house several families under one thatch roof. To get there, you must navigate winding rivers, because roads do not exist. Their life depends on hunting and medicinal plants they know like no one else. But the most sacred thing is their skin. They tattoo their entire bodies with thorns and bamboo sticks, drawing a map of their life and connection to the forest. It is a rugged existence, but deeply connected to the earth. Our bodies are the books where we write our own jungle story. Ifugao terraces, the stairs of the gods. In the Philippines, the Ifugao Mountains are an engineering masterpiece of 2,000 years. There are 62,000 acres of rice terraces, rising up to 2,400 meters high. It is a labyrinth of stone and earth walls that hold the water from the hilltop forests, letting it drop level by level like a controlled waterfall. It is a system older than many modern nations. The risk of earthquakes and landslides is constant, but people keep climbing those slopes to plant. It is a staircase of earth that seems to want to reach the sky, built stone by hands that never knew rest. Building something that lasts 2,000 years is speaking with eternity itself. Loktak Lake, the drifting world. In the state of Manipur, India, the ground moves under your feet. Loktak Lake is filled with floating islands called phumdis, which are masses of vegetation and soil up to 3 meters thick. The incredible thing is that people build houses on these islands that drift along. From the air, they look like perfect green circles on the blue water. Fishermen even farm fish inside these artificial circles. It is an uncertain life because your house might wake up in a different place than it was yesterday. But for them, the lake is their mother and their sustenance, an ecosystem where man and plant float together. Kayan villages, the weight of tradition. In the highlands of Myanmar, a woman's neck can carry the weight of 10 kilograms of bronze. Kayan women start wearing these rings at 5 years old, adding more over time. The metal pushes the shoulders down, creating the illusion of a very long neck. Their villages are simple, made of bamboo and wood 1,000 meters above sea level to escape the humidity. While they weave colorful fabrics on their hand looms, they keep alive a tradition that creates as much curiosity as wonder. It is a mountain life, quiet and slow, where beauty has a real weight carried with pride and patience. Tradition sometimes weighs heavy, but it keeps us all together always. Santa Cruz del Islote, the coral miracle. In the middle of the Colombian Caribbean, there is an island of barely 8,000 square meters where more than 500 people live. It is like a crowded neighborhood in the sea, made of coral and stone. Houses are wall to wall, and the paths are so narrow that a person barely fits. There are no cars, no motorcycles, and no space for silence. Fresh water must be brought in by boat from outside. Despite being so squeezed, there is no violence and everyone knows each other. It is proof that humans can be happy in a space the size of a football field, as long as they have the sea nearby. The space is small, but the heart of this island is huge. Koh Panyi, the floating stadium. In a bay in Thailand, under the shadow of a giant rock, floats Koh Panyi. It is a village of 1,000 people built entirely on wooden stilts above the sea. The most incredible thing is their football field. Since there was no land, the children built a floating platform with wooden boards to play. It is a place where ingenuity overcomes any physical limit. Wooden walkways connect the houses, the market, and the mosque, creating a neighborhood that seems to float magically. It is proof that if you have a dream, you do not need firm ground to start running after a ball. Playing football on the water is having no limits in the heart. Ganvi, the city on the water. In Benin, centuries ago, people fled to Lake Nokwe to escape slave hunters. This is how Ganvi was born, a city of 20,000 people where firm ground does not exist. Everything, from the houses to the school and the market, is on wooden poles. The lake is the main street, and the boat is the only transport. Navigating between its crowded houses, you understand that the water was their refuge and is now their life. It is a community that turned a swamp into an eternal home, proving that freedom is sometimes found in the middle of a lake where no one can reach you. Water can be the safest path to total freedom for everyone today. Batanes Islands, the embrace of stone. In the north of the Philippines, the Batanes Islands are the target of the strongest typhoons in the Pacific. That is why their houses are not made of wood, but of stone, with walls 1 meter thick and very heavy thatch roofs. They are small fortresses designed not to fly away when the wind roars. The landscape is of infinite green hills and cliffs that die in a furious sea. There are no tall trees because the wind does not let them grow. It is a land of fishermen and farmers who have learned that to survive the storm, one must be as firm and humble as the rock that surrounds them. Being strong as stone is the only way to embrace wind. Out of all these incredible locations, which one felt the most like a different planet to you? Make sure to subscribe and hit the like button to help us bring more of these stories to life. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more adventures, and I'll see you soon.